Fortunately, I've been doing sales calls long before Zoom ever was in the picture. And in this video, I'm going to lay down the 3 tips to selling on the phone successfully. It's Tom Jackobs here. Thank you so much for stopping by the channel today for your fix on presentation, performance, and profits. If you're new to the channel, you might want to think about hitting that little subscribe button over there. That way you get notified every time new content is delivered right here every Tuesday and Friday at 12 Eastern. Sales is the livelihood of every business. Unfortunately, a lot of solopreneurs and solo practitioners don't like the idea of selling. Well, the truth is you have to get comfortable with selling and asking people for money because that is what drives your business growth. And I'm not talking about the sales techniques of just hit them over the head until they buy. This is more of a consultative approach to selling, and what I like to consider allowing the prospect to buy, not trying to sell them by hitting them over the head. And you know you've done this successfully when the prospect actually says, so how can I get started? And what credit card do you take? So let's get into the 3 tips on how to sell successfully over the phone. Tip number 1, you need to take immediate control of the conversation. And I know in previous videos I've really harped on this, but it is that important, especially when you're selling over the phone. You need to be the professional that you are on the phone. None of this really tentative, like trying to, oh, is this so-and-so on the phone? And kind of wimpily going into the phone call. I tell my agents that they need to be very forceful and to the point because that opening is so very important, because that's where you get to take control of the conversation and be the expert on the phone, the expert that you already are. And in the prospect's mind, this is part of the rapport building process where they get to know, like, and trust you. And if you are kind of tentative on that phone call, then most likely they're not going to really trust that you know what you're talking about. But if you come across as very confident and ready to take charge of that phone call, then they're going to know that you are the boss. And if you don't take immediate control of the conversation from the start, then that prospect probably isn't going to like you very much. And you might as well just hang up the phone and call it a day because you're not going to make the sale. Quick question for you. Post below, how do you take control of the conversation on the phone? I was curious to find out what you're thinking. Go ahead and post down below, and I do respond to every comment that I receive. Tip number 2, you need to set the agenda for the phone call and verbalizing that with the prospect when you're on the phone with them. There is nothing more infuriating than getting on a phone call with a salesperson that is disorganized and just likes to ramble on and hear themselves talk. They're never going to make the sale by doing that. You have to be precise and set the agenda and really respect the prospect's time. And the best way of getting that prospect at ease is by setting the agenda so they know exactly what's going to happen and how long it's going to take. People need to know what to expect from the phone call. Ideally, you will have sent them a video prior to the phone call telling them what to expect, and then reiterate that when you get on the phone with them. And that opening phrase might sound something like this. I'm really glad that we were able to get on the call today. I know we only have 30 minutes to go through this, so I'd love to lay out the agenda. Is that okay? And then they're going to say yes. And that's your first yes, by the way, which is really important to get as many yeses as possible leading up to asking them to make the purchase. And then continue on with the actual agenda. And it might sound something like this. Okay, great. So at first, I'm going to ask you a series of questions to get to know you a little bit more and specifically about the problem that you're having right now. And then I'll lay out how I might be able to help you with the problems that you're experiencing. And if I'm not able to help you out, I'll let you know that as well. And then at the end of the call, if it feels like it's going to be a good fit, then I'll talk to you a little bit about how to go even further with working with me. Sound like a plan? And boom, there's your agenda. You've laid it out, and you've also kind of seeded that there's going to be an ask at the end of the call. Plus, you'll get your second yes. And there it is, just a very simple agenda with a time frame so they know exactly what to expect. And if this was scheduled as a sales call and they know that there is a sales call involved, and then I'll add in a second statement that sounds something like this. And then at the end of the call, you can say yes or no. Either is okay, but I will ask you to make a decision about going forward. And that way they're kind of at ease. They're like, okay, well, I'll make a decision. It'll be yes or no. Because there's nothing worse than having somebody say, oh, let me think about it. Because you know they're not going to think about it. Go ahead and ask them to make a decision if it's a full sales call. And that the expectation is that they will actually make a decision on the call. I want to make sure that you have a full follow-up, follow-through process so that you're actually getting prospects on the phone to talk to you so that you can do your sales thing. So I've put together a follow-up, follow-through process that will help you get more appointments booked for Monday morning so that your calendar is completely full of appointments. So all you need to do is just click the link below, put your name and email address in, and I'll email you that workbook so you have a complete follow-up, follow-through process. Tip number 3 is that you have to ask tons of questions. Now that you have control of the conversation and you've set the agenda and the prospect knows, likes, and trusts you, now you can ask your series of questions so that you're really probing for what the problem is. And it's one thing to just ask questions like 20 questions, which has absolutely no merit whatsoever and won't get you closer to the sale. And then there's another where you're actually kind of peeling back the onion and going deeper and deeper until you get to an emotional response. Because people will buy on emotion and then they'll just justify it with logic later. And if you don't get that emotional response, then you're probably not going to make the sale. And what are some of those questions you might be asking right now? I always like to start off the probing section of the interview with a question like this. What inspired you to book the call today? And that's a really important question because now it's going to get them thinking about, gosh, why did I book the call today? And what was prompting them to actually book the consultation? And now they're reliving what the problem is in their own mind and then verbalizing it to you. And oftentimes I like to follow that up with, why is now the right time? And now you have the framework of what the problem is and why they booked it, but also why they're doing it now, as opposed to next week or why they didn't do it 2 weeks ago. The reason that you want to do that is to get that time frame in their mind and set some urgency to them fixing the problem that they have. Because like I said before, there's nothing more infuriating than having a prospect say, oh, let me go think about it. Because we all know they're probably not going to think about it. They're going to go on with their day and they're not going to solve their problem most likely. And when you get your prospect to actually verbalize what their problems are, now they're telling themselves and they're hearing it out loud from themselves. And generally when we speak out of our own mouths, we don't lie to ourselves. We always tell the truth. And it's a lot different from the prospect telling you what their problem is versus you telling them what their problem is, because you're the salesperson and you may or may not be telling them the truth about what their problem is. So always get the prospect to tell you what the problem is. And when designing these questions to ask, make sure that they're following and getting deeper and deeper and deeper so that you ultimately get to the emotional response that you're looking for. Ultimately, people are going to buy on emotion and then justify it with logic. Well, there you go. The 3 tips on selling on the phone successfully. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, just give it a good old thumbs up, share it out with your friends and colleagues, and then go ahead and just subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Check out some of the other videos that I put up for you right there and there. And until next time, you have a great day.